I do not believe it could possibly get worse for California, man. And I'm going to say this with a bit of sympathy, a bit of empathy for those that are still in California. Man, I'm feeling for you, and I really mean it. Now, I'm going to have to wag my finger a little bit because y'all voted for the politicians you have, and you've chosen to live in many of these places. But at the same time, I don't think anybody expected it to get this bad. And while I can't criticize the people in California for voting for really awful politicians that can't get the job done, I'll still, try and empathize a little bit. Check this out. More rolling blackouts. For like the first time in nearly 20 years, California did rolling blackouts the other day. They're doing rolling blackouts again. Electricity shortage. You want to know what else? 13 wildfires. Are you kidding me? Yikes, man. I'm feeling bad for good old California out there, huh? You got mass homelessness. You've got lethal crime skyrocketing. And I'm just, look, listen. I'm sure there's probably a lot of you right now saying, Tim, don't empathize. They voted for this. They voted for it. That's what they wanted. I know, maybe. But fire NATO? What is a fire NATO? Internet baffled after California issues America's first ever warning for a fire tornado. What? I kid you not. A fire tornado. Wow, man. It's bad. I'm going to be serious, okay? The wildfires are scary. And I really do empathize and sympathize and wish for the safety, security of and the good health of anybody anywhere near these wildfires. This is a natural disaster, man. Nobody should be hoping for any pain and suffering. Now, look, the electricity shortages, I'll tell you what, that's your own fault, okay? But I can still say, yikes, man. Insult to injury, Look, a lot of people are fleeing California. The exodus is real. San Francisco's exodus, Southern California is seeing an exodus. It's time to go somewhere else. But I'll tell you this, man. Let this be a warning because the conservatives are warning about it. There's that comic. I don't know if you've seen it. And it's Joe Rogan walking from California to Texas. And he's pulling a luggage bag that says like liberal policies. And California is like in flames and trash. And there's like a cowboy saying like, hey, why don't you leave that where you got it? Or something like that. And that's the joke. If you're going to leave these places, don't bring these same policies and politicians to where you're going, because look at what you get. If you're going to go somewhere because it's really awful where you are, then the locals probably figured something out, and I'm going to defer to them. That's what I'm telling you right now. Listen, I'm moving to a rural area, all right? I've been planning this for a long time, especially then with COVID. I've been trying to move since, last year and get a bigger facility and expand the company, my companies. But I'll tell you what. Since COVID and the rioting, I've said, okay, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go to a more rural area. And I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask the locals. I'm going to take their word for it. I'm not going to vote for any of this crazy leftist stuff. I'm telling you what, right now, like I've said before, I've never been a big Trump fan. And I know a lot of people, they have this idea that you're either yay Trump or like, oh no, Trump bad. Like there really are people who are like, I guess Trump, you know what I mean? I'll give him credit for a lot of the good things he's done. But right now, I'm looking at voting for Trump because the Democrats have lost it. That's exactly what I'm saying. I don't want California's policies coming to the rest of this country. So you know what? Fine. I give. All right. There are some things I think are good. I disagree with conservatives on a lot of issues. But you know what? I'm backing off on this one. New York, New Jersey, California, Chicago, they're pit stains. It is awful. So the only thing I can say is, maybe these policy ideas, that I voted for in the past, not good at all. So you know what? I just don't even know anymore because this has been nothing but chaos. I still think that there are, I think economically and philosophically, there are some left-wing ideas that I think are good. The problem is the Democrats are, they're corrupt. Not all of them, many of them, if not most of the ones in charge. And I think the problem arises with places like California simply because you take two parties. One party says you got to work hard to earn your keep. Okay, that makes sense. The other party says, don't worry about it. We'll take it from them and give to you. And all they have to do, what happens then, the Democrats keep saying, we're going to roll out these programs that will give you something. What do you got to do? You got to press the vote button. Easy victory, right? The Democrats feel like if I just say I'll give you whatever you want, you'll vote for me. You end up with two parties. One where it's like, listen, with hard work comes, success. The other party says, you didn't build this. You didn't build that. And so there's the real problem. I actually think there are social policies that can work. I think they have to be reassessed, put on time limits. I think we need to kind of clean out government of this bureaucracy and this corruption. I lean left on a lot of issues. The problem, however, is that the Democrats you get that run for office are not legitimate people. They're not legitimately trying to help anyone. We can offer up social programs, but responsibility has to come with it. Otherwise, they put up these signs everywhere saying, don't feed the animals, they'll become dependent. Okay, well, what do you think happens if you tell everybody, we'll just give you whatever you want? They're not going to become independent. So we need a balance. I love the mixed economy. I'm a moderate, kind of centrist, leaning a little bit to the left. But I'll tell you what right now, when I look at stories about rolling blackouts now in California, well, your economy is stagnating. You've locked everyone down. You have no idea what you're doing. You've got the mayor of LA saying he's going to violate human rights by shutting off utilities. And I'm just like, you know what, man? I see all this. I don't care. I get text after text from all of these campaign fundraisers. I say the same thing. Y'all have lost your mind. I have no idea what you're even fighting for at this point. I am not kidding. What is Joe Biden's policy? What is he for? Kamala Harris is apparently for the Green New Deal. What is she even all about? Honestly, I don't know what they're campaigning on. And when I look to California, honestly, rolling blackouts, economic shutdown, crime. Yeah, I'm not surprised people are leaving. They say California was hit by more blackouts on Saturday as a heat wave baking the state and triple-digit temperatures continue to strain the electrical system. Power is being brought back to 220,000 customers across the state after a brief outage, according to the authority that operates the grid. The California Independent System Operator, California ISO, said in a statement that the brief rolling blackouts throughout the state were caused by the failure of a power plant and the loss of wind power. Oh, no. Oh, no, 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 no. How many people were like, we need to rely more heavily on renewable energies? And then what happens when there's no wind? So listen, I'm all about renewables, man, but balance. That's why I'm really mad at the left on this one. Nuclear power makes a ton of sense. And only a few states get their energy principally from nuclear. Why? The left doesn't allow it. They campaign against nuclear energy, one of the most efficient carbon neutral sources of energy. And the new technologies we have seem to be relatively safe as far as I know. Yet what happens? They just say no. So what does California and these other states end up doing? Natural gas? I kid you not. So I'll tell you what. I can blame California and the policy of the Democrats only so far, and I think it goes pretty far, to where I got to stop and just say, okay. I don't think the fire tornado is anybody's fault. So, with the wildfires, some have argued actually is a policy problem. So on the surface, it looks like the fire tornado is nobody's fault, right? Hold on. You see, when the wildfires started getting bad, Trump talked about how they weren't clearing like the brush and like the debris from the foresty areas, from these, dry areas, which means there was kindling everywhere for fire. I'm not an expert on this stuff, but the general idea, here's what I've heard. And so many of you could probably correct me on this one. Naturally, there are fires because all the leaves and the garbage falls at the trees, it gets dried out, and then eventually a fire breaks out. It's a natural process. But because we seek to prevent the fires, it never burns, and then the kindling and the brush builds up, and then really, really bad fires start, which is a policy problem. So what you need to do is you need to go in and actually clear the forest floors, or like the floors of these the ground of these areas, to prevent the fires from building up. I don't know exactly what that is, just something I saw in passing. But if it is true, it's a policy problem. I'm just going to say it. I'm not surprised California experiences these things. Perhaps the drought is not their fault, and thus the fires would start. And if it rained more, it wouldn't be happening. But ultimately, when you get bad weather and bad policy, you get fire tornadoes. And this is it. They actually had to issue a warning. I mean, part of me wants to say it's cool, a fire tornado, because we've seen people, there's like a viral video of a bunch of fans around a fire and they made a fire tornado. But this is a legit tornado that was, they said, it seems like 2020 is indeed becoming a more dreadful year as the months go by. In a rare spectacle, a fiery tornado emerged in California on August 15th near the Nevada border. The reported reason behind the emergence of this occurrence is large wildfires and excessive temperatures creating a dangerous storm. The fire tornado or firenado triggered a warning from the National Weather Service in Reno shortly before 3 p.m. near the Loyalton fire, which started in the Sierra in Tahoe National Forest, cautioning people. The Weather Service tweeted, Extremely dangerous fire behavior noted on the Loyalton fire. Rotating columns and potential for fire whirls. Responders should exercise extreme caution. Amazing. Look, we had a video of it. Look at this stuff. This is crazy. Brush Engine 44 on scene earlier today as the Loyalton fire jumped Highway 395 with vehicles stuck on the road. The crew provided protection and got the vehicles out of harm's way. No injuries. I'm not going to pretend to know the details of the wildfires. I'm just going to tell you this. California is crumbling. I'm sorry, man, it is. And many of these Democrat-controlled areas are. So do what you got to do. Ultimately, it comes down to your choice. I think the night is always darkest before the dawn. And though these things may be shocking, think about what comes after. As much as, it may be awful to say, I do think there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. And from this, good things can emerge. We'll see how things play out. Thanks for hanging out. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. on this channel, and I will see you all then.